what I found with Spanish Colonial is that similar to modernism is that you can express the spaces that are being contained in the architecture. So in other words, we have a stair hall that's, you can see from the outside, it's a curved piece that's connected to the main volume of the living room. And so all the interior program is kind of expressed in that architecture. To me, architecture has really three components that make the architecture great. So what I mean by that is you have the architecture, you also have interiors, and you also have landscape. And I think all three of those are equal in the balance of a successful or beautiful project, however you want to put it. But so part of the planning for the project is proportionate to the lot, which is an acre, was kind of small. So there was opportunities to create these gardens, and so in courtyards, and which is another big component of this type of architecture. And it was great, so we could kind of spread the plan and around on the site and start using the architecture to define some of these courtyards and landscape spaces. We have landscape architect Heath Thibodeau, who's been engaged with the project from pretty much the beginning, and then Shannon Mann is interiors. So again, you know, we're bringing Carly's vision into the interiors, and Shannon's been working with her on that. So again, all three balance out to me to create a special residence for Carly. But Carly loves to entertain. She throws big parties, so we have courtyards of different scales, a large one, a smaller, more intimate one. We have the pool area. It's on axis with the main entrance, so it's engaged and grounded in the architecture, but it's a feature that also becomes part of her entertainment space. So all of the site itself was designed to work for Carly's needs.
We are currently in the living room.
Right.
Right. It's going to be a huge entertainment space.
Right.
Does Spanish colonial architecture have this kind of like grand room feel to it, or is that something specific to what Carly wanted?
Well, partial. So yes, like the larger homes in the Spanish colonial precedent do have larger and more, I guess you could call it living rooms, entertainment
communal
rooms.
area. Yeah.
But one of the features that I was drawn to in Spanish colonial architecture is the variations of those spaces. So we have this larger living area, and then the dining rooms, the ceilings are lower and it's a more intimate scale. Of course, her bedroom is too. So you have, but the entrance hall is also double volume like this room. So there's this variation of spaces that I was really drawn into and tried to bring to this project.
We've talked. Me and Carly have done plenty walkthroughs through the property, and the one thing, and I think maybe you could speak to this a lot more. The one thing that we keep referencing is we remember the old we remember the old house and how it felt, and we remember looking at the backyard and it feeling like, oh my God, it's a huge backyard. But then we also realized that after the framing was done of this house, that whenever we step into the backyard, which in theory is smaller than what it used to be, for some reason feels bigger than what it used to be. And can you speak to how maybe the architecture itself it amplifies spaces that way? You mentioned something about interior, landscape, and
in the architecture.
And the architecture, how they play vital roles. Can you speak to that? And then maybe specifically about how that landscape aspect of it in this home is really being highlighted as a main part.
Sure. I think part of the thing, again, this is a large property, close to an acre. So, and the house is not I mean, you could have a double the square footage, and it would feel appropriate on this lot. So I think what's kind of amplifying the feeling of it being feeling larger is actually having like the garage building in that space. And that's a 3-car garage. It's a larger garage than typical, but now it's in the space, and you get more of a sense of how big the property is. So it gives a scale to the property. And the garage building is deliberately placed to create kind of an edge to her kind of yard that she would be, where the pool and she'd be entertaining in, and separate it from the driveway. So I think as these pieces start coming into the house, the house itself kind of wraps around a courtyard, a large courtyard, and so as these pieces start infilling the lot, you really get a sense of, oh, this is a big lot, and now these are really like these pieces are kind of amplifying the feeling of it being a large lot. So, I think it'll change again when we get the pool and the landscaping, and then you start seeing the sequence of the entry to being in the entry hall to going out to the patio to the pool, and it's a broad, long sequence of spaces. So I think that's probably what everyone's feeling, and that's what I anticipated. I anticipated that,
Yeah, you had all of that in mind beforehand, right? Like,
yeah.
It's your job to make sure that all of those things kind of factor into each other as this like grand package.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and using kind of the negative space of the architecture to create spaces, basically outdoor rooms and spaces.